So, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining the live session today from Neolacta Life Sciences. So, we'll just give a few minutes before the guest speaker join, and let's have a few more attendees join the session. And the session is happening post lunch. So, I hope you're having good glucose level and to understand the session. Okay. So let you know that this session is with live streamed in YouTube, and please have ask for any questions if you may have in the chat section. So we will help in answering your questions. Let's allow a few more people to join, and we have the speaker joining in soon in 5 minutes. Good afternoon, Biju. Everybody had lunch. Few minutes we'll have the speaker join in the session. Good afternoon, Sandeep ji. Good afternoon, Abhay. Good afternoon, Shravan. How are you all feeling today? Doing good? Join in soon. So, has joined. Just give us a minute. I think there's a. So, has joined us.
It. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Okay,
Uh,
thank you. I'll switch on my video.
yes.
You want my video or it's not bothered?
We want you, sir. I'm
Okay,
meeting you
okay.
for the first time,
No
virtually
problem.
at
No problem.
least. Very
Thank you.
great to have you.
Okay. I'll share the
So,
screen also. Oh, you disabled the
yes,
part. Strange.
it's
It's disabled.
you're the co-host.
Why is it disabled?
It's disabled. Give us a minute. I
Second.
think you can still share the screen.
No.
We're just adjusting. So just give me a minute. So let me just begin and we could
Sure.
start your
Yeah,
session.
somebody can share the screen. Okay, no problem.
Okay, come. So you're unable. Okay, we'll fix that, sir, for you. And yeah. So once again, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining the live session from Neolacta Life Sciences. And I'm Dr. Hani Manjunath, Chief Scientific Officer from Neolacta Life Sciences. So I'll be walking you through the session along with Dr. Shashida Vishwanath to understand the benefits of HMOs in breast milk. So, before we start, let me give you a quick introduction of our guest speaker. So, Dr. Shashida Vishwanath is a renowned neonatologist who has, completed MBBS in KIMS Bangalore, that's Kempegowda Institute of Medical Science. He's also done his fellowship and post-graduation in child health, and he's also a member of the Royal College of Pediatric and Child Health. He has 17 plus years of experience and currently working as consultant neonatologist and pediatrician at Cloud9 Hospital. So thank you so much for joining the session, and we are very glad to have you in the session. So over to you, sir.
Thank you. Just see if I can share the screen. I can now share the screen. Okay, perfect.
Great, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay. Let me know if you are seeing the full screen.
No, so we can see it in the present. Like if you can,
Yeah.
yes, now we
Better
can.
now?
Yes, thank you so
Yeah.
much. Yes, it's better. Thank you.
First of all, thank you very much, Harini, for your generous introduction. I'm Dr. Shashi, and I'm currently working in Cloud9 Hospital. I used to manage a couple of branches. Right now, I'm in Sahakar Nagar. And I was asked to talk about this topic, and I am a kind of a firm proponent as well as supporter for baby-friendly initiative in hospitals. So what it means is that I recommend exclusive breastfeeding, and I've talked on this particular topic few times, and it is quite close to my heart because the science of human milk oligosaccharides (HMOs) is amazing, and the far-reaching effects of this particular substance. It's still a matter of research. Multiple countries are still trialing, and all the companies, which are trying to develop the formulas are completely onto this research because it's one of those game changers we can call, because 25 years ago, these were known, but they were not known to what extent do we know now. So with that in the background, I think I need to carry on with talking. There's quite a lot of interesting things I want to present. And again, I thank the company Neolacta for asking me to talk on this. And I'm associated with Neolacta for the last 4 years since I've come back to India. And we have used their products previously, and we are still using it in our extreme preterms, both as supplements as well as for PHBM, which is the human milk, pasteurized human milk. So with that, I'll see what we can talk about this. So a broad outline for today's talk. I'm going to talk about importance of breastfeeding and breast milk. As I've started off with my talk, I am a proponent and I'm a firm supporter of breast milk because it is tailored for your baby, and each stage of your baby, you produce different kind of milk. I'll talk a little on that, and also talk about human milk composition and what do you mean by oligosaccharides, HMOs, and the different structures and types. With my time, I'll try to make it easy and because I like it simple and easy. So what are the functions of HMOs? What role do they play in neurodevelopment, and how also they help in preterm babies, right? So that will be the broad talk on this. So I mean, the science of breast milk is science by itself. As you know, in hospitals, there are breastfeeding specialists. In fact, in the West, there are breastfeeding consultants. These are actually senior nurses who duty is just to go around and encourage breastfeeding. And they do theses, PhDs on breast milk composition as well as breast milk feeding. So why are we so fascinated? Because as we progress in the field of nutrition, we are just amazed by how complex substance a breast milk is. Because it is a tailor-made substance for your baby. It's an optimal nutrition for the baby's growth and development in the first 6 months, full stop. Even in times of maternal unwellness, maternal disease, nature or God, or whoever you want to call it, has preserved the function of breast milk. I mean, come to that in the next few slides. So we all know that exclusive breastfeeding for the first 6 months is what WHO recommends. And even after that, introduction of complementary feeding, mothers can continue to breastfeed for up to 2 years and even further, they say. It provides all the essential nutrients in the appropriate proportion, which is specifically tailored for your baby. I mean, what I mean to say is it is specifically tailored for your baby's weight, for your baby's sex, for your baby's developmental stage also. So you can't compare anything in respect of the quality to breast milk. So it provides the essential immunity. It is easily digestible, doesn't reduces the incidence of colic, indigestion, vomiting, gastroesophageal reflux, and it improves the neurodevelopment. There are umpteen number of papers on this. It provides the adequate amount of brain essential nutrients as well as adequate amount of gut essential nutrients for gut maturation, gut integrity, as well as absorption of essential nutrients. And more importantly, it is something that comes to mother, and it doesn't need any extra effort. I mean, having said that, initial weeks, you will probably have to help the mother, but once it comes to the mother, it becomes second nature to her, and it develops an emotional bond, which is, we all know, in the long run, it helps mother to recuperate from her postnatal state, both physical and mental. Mothers who breastfeed have reduced incidence of um, you know mental health illnesses in the postnatal period, reduced incidence of postnatal blues, and also reduced better health in the postnatal period, quicker recovery to their postnatal state, as well as reduced incidence of cancers, of cancer of the breast and other things, and ovarian cancer and stuff in the long run. So I think the last point here, helps mothers in reducing body weight, should actually push a lot of mothers to exclusive breastfeed. So we know that babies in the first 6 months don't need anything extra apart from milk, not even water. The reason I'm saying not even water is that that's a common question asked by the mothers and the grandmothers and mother-in-laws who come to my clinic and say, sir, can I give water? Can I give this? I keep saying, you are giving water in the form of breast milk, because 90% of it is water. So approximately by mass, 88% is composed of water and 12% is essential nutrients. And it varies at different stages of breastfeeding. So in the preterm, initial first few days of term babies, the water, like milk, is very high in HMOs because they are needed at that point of time more than the nutrition. It's the gut priming and the gut health that is very important. So the nature has provided you with significantly higher levels of HMOs in the first few days. And the rest 13% is the solid component, which is the nutritional component. Out of that, the lactose is the highest, we know that, and lipids are the next. And you'll be surprised that HMOs contribute to the third highest in terms of mass in breast milk, even more than the proteins. Okay, so there should be a reason for that. And in the next few slides, I'll talk about what are these HMOs. Are they nutritionally important? Are they digested? Are they absorbed? I'll come to that. but just by the sheer composition of it, that constitutes more than the amount of proteins, you should be questioning why it is there. Now, it is the third most abundant factor, and in terms of the mass, it contributes to approximately 10% of the total weight of the milk. So what does HMO stand for? Basically, it means human milk oligosaccharides. So if you go back to the biochemistry PUC level, or first year biochemistry level, the sugars are classified as monosaccharides, disaccharides, and polysaccharides, oligosaccharides. So these, and in that group, there is a group of saccharides or the sugars called oligosaccharides. And these carbohydrates are soluble carbohydrates, and these are unique to the breast milk, and they are made up of lactose in the middle, bounded by other simple sugars. So they are not monosaccharides, but they have other sugars around them. So that's why they're called oligosaccharides. Because they are present in human milk, they're called human milk oligosaccharides. So that's an easy way of explaining it. Now, they are produced only in lactating mammary glands, which is not found in bovine milk. So what it means that it is not present in cow's milk. There are some synthetic preparations which are added in formula milk, but the HMOs that are present in human milk are far superior than any other synthetic HMOs. Now, it is abundant in colostrum. I quoted in the previous slide that it is nature's preparation for the baby to start absorbing the nutrients and start digesting it. So it is priming the gut for that. So in the colostrum, which is the first milk produced in the mother in the first 24 to 48 hours, it's abundant. And in mature milk, it's present, but of course, it's present comparatively less because other lipids, proteins, and the other components are more important as the baby grows. So constantly around 10 to 15 grams per every liter of milk, it's present. I mean, HMO itself is a science on itself. There are more than 200 known HMOs, and every year, many more are added onto that. And there are many. And the way the HMOs are built, there are the central core building blocks. These are glucose, galactose, N-acetyl glucosamine, N-acetyl uraminic acid, and fucose. So fucose, I'll come to them. And among this, 2-fucosyl lactose is the most abundant. We call it as 2FL. That's the structure in that particular slide here. The 2FL is the most abundant HMO, along with 3SL and 6SL. 3SL is the 3-sialyl lactose that is based on the isomeric form. And if you see the sialic acid is also one of the essential acids, and sialyl lactose. So these 6 and 3 sialyl lactose are the important along with the 2FL. So 2FL, you should just remember, it's the most abundant one and most important and most studied one also among all the HMOs. So what are the functions? See, before I get into the function, we have to remember that these are like fertilizers, right? Basically, what it means that they themselves are not absorbed. Human milk oligosaccharides are not something that you digest and absorb, but these act as the precursor, or they act as a medium for the good bacteria to grow. And the work of the good bacteria is what makes your gut health, and indirectly and directly your brain health also. I'll come to that in the next few slides. So these are non-nutritive functions, basically. What it means that they are not absorbed, but they play a vital role in the maintenance of infants' gut health as well as CNS health also. So how do they do? See, these being non-absorbable, they coat and they act as a coat the mucosa, and they act as an antiviral and antimicrobial substance. They bind to the pathogen, because most of the pathogens have the cell walls and some of them have polysaccharides in it. They bind to them and prevent the virus to enter inside the intestinal cells. So directly they kind of act as barriers there. And they have something called as prebiotic function. What does prebiotic means? Prebiotic, if you break the word, pre means before, bio means life. So these are not needed. These are basically they are not live substances, but they are needed for the bacteria, the good bacteria, which are called as probiotics. They are needed for the work of the probiotics. They act as a media for the good bacteria to grow, and your health is directly dependent on your gut health. And I can't emphasize anymore, because more and more, I mean, I also have interest in adult nutrition and all that. More and more research has been getting into the importance of the natural foods, importance of the foods that our forefathers were consuming. And also a lot of diseases that we are seeing now are essentially because of autoimmunity. What happens in that? So that is because we have changed our gut flora, both by in terms of quality as well as quantity, and that is leading on to a pandemics of diseases which we had never seen before. Our forefathers, our grandparents didn't have allergies. Our grandparents, I'm talking about the healthy grandparents, they didn't have any of these. They died in their 80s, 90s, probably never have gone to hospital. But now 25, 30-year-olds are getting heart attacks. 25, 30-year-olds are getting into major physical and mental health problems. There's something wrong that is happening. And now this gut health is the prime region of focus. And lots of work has been done on the importance of diet on your general health. So coming back to this, they do act as prebiotics for the growth of healthy gut bacteria. And the short chain fatty acids, which are the major metabolites of fermentation of these oligosaccharides. So oligosaccharides, as you know, when you ferment sugars, you get fatty acids. So short chain fatty acids are a byproduct of the fermentation of these HMOs. They influence the maturation of intestinal epithelial cells. So what do you mean by maturation? See, just like any other cells, intestinal cells are formed, but they need to mature. How do they mature? They mature by going through a cycle of, genetic remodeling, basically altered gene expression, differential gene expression, and then cell cycle. There are different phases in cell cycle. Basically, these play an important role in that cycle. Okay, so that cycle leads to the maturation of the intestinal epithelial cells. Okay, and HMOs are important for that. And they also are immune precursors. When I say immune precursors, they promote T cell function. See, the innate immunity, which we all have, is due to the due to the function of our T cells. And as I was telling you, the human milk oligosaccharides also play a role in promoting these, because our gut is related to our immunity. And there is something called GALT. We call it as gut associated lymphoid tissue, GALT. Okay. And MALT, MALT, mucosa associated lymphoid tissue. And in both these tissues, human milk oligosaccharides have a role to play, as I was explaining in the previous slides. So they do promote the immune system. They do promote the T cell function. And how do we know that? We know that exclusively breastfed babies with good quality breast milk, they have reduced incidence of mucosal illnesses. That means diarrheal illnesses, respiratory illnesses. And why is that compared to the formula fed? That is where the effect of breast milk comes. And most of the good beneficial effects of breast milk are due to the components in it, majority of which is HMO. So that's where we are. So it also plays direct and indirect role in in neurodevelopment. Okay. So I was talking about this gut-brain axis. See, one of my good friends, who is also my colleague from UK, he keeps saying this. There is something really called gut feeling. What it means that is your gut does influence your feelings. When I say gut feeling, basically because there is something called microbiota gut brain axis, and this is now a hot topic even in the adult nutrition. So how does HMO play a role? See, HMOs act as the media, and I was just telling the term like they are like the fertilizers for the beneficial bacteria to grow. See, if you put good fertilizer, natural fertilizer in your garden, the flowers grow well. Why? Because these provide the nutrients by themselves. They do, if you don't do anything, they are just a part of soil. But when there is the germinating seeds, when there are germinating flowers, they are utilized. Similar to that, the beneficial gut bacteria grow better when there is adequate HMOs. And now the good bacteria, we all know, play a role in our gut brain axis. Now they regulate numerous neuroactive biomolecules. When I say neuroactive biomolecules, there are many, glutamine, to just name a few. Glutamine is important in neuroregulation, and various other molecules are there. And these biomolecules are produced either directly during bacterial degradation of fibers. So these form what is called as soluble fibers, these HMOs, okay? Or their biosynthesis is regulated by the gut microbiota. Both indirectly and directly, they play a role. These act as what you call enzymatic, and these act as enzymes in different biochemical, neurobiochemical reactions. And they also play a major role in the maturation of the CNS in the form of myelination, and also cell synaptic pruning, and formation of new dendritic connections. So they are needed, and they are known to have a good role in neurodevelopment. And a good diet, initially composed of maternal breast milk exclusively for 6 months, followed by continued breastfeeding, and essentially a good brain diet, makes the child achieve its genetic potential. Okay. So just to look at the picture, it does say that, neuroactive molecules like the GABA, glutamate, serotonin, short-acting fatty acids, antioxidants, they all are important, and they are all produced in the gut. And they are all produced in the gut, and they have an effect on the brain. So it's not just one directional, it's the other direction also. So brain has an effect on the gut, gut has an effect on the brain. Together, we call it as gut-brain axis. Okay. So as a neonatologist, I deal with a lot of preterm babies, and that's one of my areas of interest, and it does keep my, keep me going on. So how does HMOs play a role? All neonatologists, anybody who you speak to anywhere in the world, dread these 3 words, NEC, because, one second. Bharti, I'm just doing on the webinar. Can I call you? Anything urgent? Anything urgent? I'll call you. Okay. Okay. So hemoglobin oligosaccharides, they lower the incidence of the NEC, because they are these play a significantly beneficial role in kind of keeping the symbiosis. There's something called dysbiosis and symbiosis. Symbiosis is when the good bacteria are kind of controlling the growth of the bad bacteria. Okay. And these beneficial bacteria are kind of improved by the presence of HMOs. They also increase the differentiation and apoptosis of intestinal epithelial cells. What it means that it's not just growth, but also destruction of the abnormal intestinal cells that are needed for good gut health. And HMOs play a role in that. In the previous slides, I was talking about cell cycle and all that. That's what it is. So it helps in the differentiation and apoptosis. Apoptosis is programmed cell death. We all need not just multiplication, but also division, and but also destruction. So these HMOs play a major important role in that. And they reduce the nutrients needed for the pathognomonic bacteria, or the bad bacteria. Okay. And particularly the proteobacteria are the bad ones, which cause increased incidence of NEC and all that. And they reduce the pathogen binding, they reduce the intestinal permeability, and they also reduce the inflammation. See, you can go to molecular level to explain about this. Most important thing is that these are present in human milk and these are readily available. So just by breastfeeding a child, or at least giving exclusive human milk to the preterm baby, you are reducing the incidence of one of the most dreaded diseases. Whatever whatever advances has happened in neonatology, still the incidence of NEC hasn't changed in the West. So you can imagine how difficult it is for a neonatologist. So remember about the HMOs in this. So continuing on, these HMOs play a key role in maintenance of gut immunity. And as the baby grows, as the preterm baby grows, they are more prone for infections due to various environmental factors. And the fact of being in the NICU, where we do a lot of procedures, a lot of things that are not natural, and then many endogenous factors, they affect the normal gut microbial development. But utilization of human milk, ensuring that human milk is present, will reduce this. So environmental factors include mode of delivery. Baby who is born by normal delivery has a better microbial flora compared to those born by C-section, because they pass through the vaginal canal and they ingest the normal vaginal mucosal bacteria, which are actually needed. And type of formula. So breastfed babies are 100, no doubt about having better gut health than the ones who consume formula. But among them, there are formulas which contain HMOs in adequate quantity, mimicking the breast milk. They are better than those which don't have the HMOs. Type of feeding, we talked about this. Breastfeeding is better than the formula feeding. Oxidative stresses, NICU microbiota, so basically incidence of infections in your NICU. And parent-infant separation. The more you separate, the more risk of the baby developing significant illnesses. Skin to skin, we call it as kangaroo mother care, as early as possible, reduces the incidence of many things, of that infections also, because the fact of transfer of the good bacteria between the mother skin and the baby skin has a beneficial effect on it. Babies who stay in NICU need antibiotics, because NICU is not the best place for infections. So we have to be preventative and giving antibiotics, giving probiotics. That's a controversial factors right now, controversial topic. Right now, we are with caution still using probiotics. NICU microbiota and maternal therapy. Mothers could be on various medications, including some antibiotics, which change the composition of their gut microbiota, which in turn influences some of the milk that they produce. So, of the other postnatal factors, gut immunity, gut immaturity in preterm babies itself plays a role. Intrauterine inflammation infections, particularly something called chorioamnionitis, which is the inflammation of the placenta. It's pretty bad, and we know that babies have succumbed to the NEC. An incidence of NEC is significantly high in these preterm babies where mother has had infection of the placenta, chorioamnionitis. Immune system responses due to whatever mother is going through. Genetics. So you are at the end of the day product of your genes. So if you're born with a faulty gene, whatever we do, sometimes it doesn't work. And maternal stress. Stress plays an important role because it releases stress hormones, which are not good in the long run, both for physical development as well as the psychosocial and mental development of the child. Presence of excessive amounts of cortisol, excessive amounts of adrenal hormones, and they create a fight or flight response in mother, and indirectly they increase the receptor capacity for these stress hormones. The child who is born to perceive more stress, and in the long run, we have even seen that babies who are born to stressful mothers end up having problems with attachment, anxiety, feeding problems, lots of things. And maternal metabolic health status. That means mothers who have diabetes, mothers who have any other endocrine problems, mothers who have, for example, obesity, their babies have slightly different gut flora compared to healthy mothers who have normal health. So this is a very important statement. Sorry. Gut health and microbiome play a significant role in physical health, physical growth of children. I add even mental growth also, not just physical growth, because we are what we eat. In Ayurveda or in any of the sciences, we say, Vata, Pitta, Kapha. When you actually understand the basics of it, it is modern medicine. What it means that it's the homeostasis of different forces. When we say homeostasis, it's the balance between the different organisms that is living with you. Okay, that is what makes you a healthy person. So I hope that I have done some justice to the topic, and I welcome any discussions on this.
Thank you so much, sir, for explaining the concept of HMO in such a simplified way. I'm sure whoever is watching the live session have understood what is HMO and what are its benefits. And it's also very crucial to, to stick on to exclusive breastfeeding, because the nature is providing us the HMO and not everybody understands its importance. And also the last message, like you mentioned, you rightly mentioned that it's the gut microbiome is important for physical as well as mental health, because human milk is so precious that it's important for the neurodevelopment, and every mother, grandmothers would want their child, or grandsons, granddaughter to have their IQ in a very high level. Doctor Agbe, they say doctor, engineer, study well. So breast milk is that breast, exclusive feeding. So that's what is very much required. So I would ask the members who are watching the live session, please ask for any questions if you have in the chat, and we'll help you answering it. So I have a few questions for you. So, like understanding now in the initial slides, you did mention the colostrum has abundant HMOs compared to the mature milk. So, how is it in terms of preterm milk
So,
compared to mature milk?
sorry, what was the question? Sorry, I missed it.
Yeah. So, how is the quantity of HMO in preterm milk compared to the mature milk?
Sure. See, as I was telling you, breast milk at every stage of gestation is programmed to mimic what the baby needs, rather programmed to give what the baby needs. The HMOs are abundant in preterm milk because they are needed. The preterm gut is immature, and I was talking about the role of HMOs in gut maturation. So it's an immature gut, so you need more. So they are abundant in premature milk compared to the mature or term milk. And as long as the preterm or even term infants are provided with human milk, including the donor milk, the quantity of HMOs will be adequate for the health that is required, for the requirement that is required for maintaining the gut immunity. Now, if you want to read up and ask me about things, studies have shown that the amount of HMOs in breast milk is different at every stage of lactation. So if you take the first week's breast milk, compare it to the second week's breast milk, there will be different levels. Going on, one of my friend is a guru in public health, public human milk banks. He says that every breast feeding, the quantity of the components are different because it mimics what the baby needs. The highest concentration of the HMOs in the preterm occurs in the early phase. As much as 25 grams per every liter of HMOs are produced. So normal term babies have 10 to 15. Preterm babies can be as much as 10 to 20 to 25 grams every liter. Also, if you follow these mothers who had delivered preterm babies continue to secrete higher quantities of HMOs in their breast milk compared to the term mothers. So.
Right. So yes, like you mentioned, I think the preterm milk has more HMOs and it is tailor made. Like it's about the frequency of breastfeeding, making sure that you give the required amount of breast milk and HMO. So before I go on with the next question, you can stop sharing the screen so that we have a better view.
1 second.
Yes, please.
How do I stop sharing?
So you can just see at the top and consider stop sharing.
1 second, I just need to stop it. Somebody can help me to stop sharing. How do I stop sharing? Shall I just close this, or how do I?
Yeah, you can just so in the share screen option, you just say stop sharing. It comes at the top of your screen if you can
Yeah,
see.
1 second, 1 second.
Yeah.
Stop video, new share,
Okay.
advanced sharing option. Just 1 second.
So that's okay, sir. If it's not
Just
done,
1 second. Yeah, it's here. It's here. Got it here. Stop share. Better now.
Okay,
Yeah,
awesome. Yes, now we got your view, better view. Thank you. Thank you,
sure.
sir. So also, sir, just moving on with the questions, like you mentioned, we have the commercial HMOs and we have the HMOs from the milk. So is there a lot of variation in the gut microbiota when you compare the natural versus the synthetic ones?
I mean, I think I've answered this before, but the simple answer for that is that the naturally produced human breast milk contain, I mean, human breast made HMOs are superior in quality compared to the commercially made. In the absence of the breast milk, the second option is the commercially available. So there is no substitute, or there's no comparison as such to the naturally available breast milk, particularly if for the same baby. The mother feeding the same her own baby will make the HMOs. As I said, there are 200 HMOs that are known, and there'll be, I'm sure, thousands more. But out of those, 2 or 3 are what we are focused on. But what we also don't know is what is the other things which are playing, what role the other HMOs are playing. So, with respect to the commercially available, they are second best. They are not as good as HMOs that are produced in the human milk.
Right. Thank you, sir. So that you would say like the natural HMOs are better than the
Better.
synthetic ones. Yeah. Sir, and also now, like let's say in the absence of mother's milk for several unavoidable situations, then the next preference is donor milk. But the donor milk undergoes several processes of pasteurization. So how does the HMO quantity vary?
That's a very good question. I mean, till recently, there was some confusion regarding pasteurization because whether we'll just like we are basically heating up the milk, whether we going to lose. So latest papers and latest data suggest that human milk oligosaccharides are not destroyed or not affected by pasteurization and freeze drying. So that's actually important because you preserve the nutrients intact, and particularly the HMOs intact. And that plays a role because in many times mothers might not be able to produce, preterm mothers may not be able to produce milk, and we have to depend on either donor milk from commercial donor banks, the milk banks, or we use, as I said, the PHBMs, the preheat, pasteurized human milk preparations, which are commercially available. So yes, the quantity and quality of HMOs are preserved even after pasteurization and freeze drying.
Okay, that's great. So I think then even an unavoidable situation if the baby is receiving donor milk, then the mother has to feel good that the baby is receiving good HMOs that is from the breast milk. So also like sir, like let's say now do you think HMOs can replace probiotics or prebiotics because this has prebiotic like action on the healthy bacteria? How would you justify that? How important HMO is versus the probiotics?
Oh, very good question. See, it's not either or. It's not either this or that. It's actually a combination of both. So, as I was explaining to you, you need prebiotics for the bacteria to act. So, bacteria are the probiotics. They are actually the live bacteria. For them, you need some substance on which they can digest and act. And so, it's a combination of pre and probiotics which make your gut health better. It's not exclusively either prebiotics or probiotics. In fact, if you take human milk, apart from the HMOs, which are the prebiotics, you actually have good bacteria in the human milk also. Okay. And of course, your own colon populates as per the bacteria it receives through delivery. I mean, I told you about the previous slides, different things. So it's not either or, it's actually both. You need both for a good gut health.
Okay, that's good to know. So like now we have questions. So they say like, can we only give HMOs? Okay, only HMOs to the baby, and does it have any side effects? Now this is an interesting question.
Okay, fine. So the simple answer is no. You cannot only give HMOs. It's like, see, HMOs are like fiber. If you remember fiber in your food, fiber is good for you, but you can't live only on fiber. Fiber is good in association with other good nutrients that you have to take. So the short answer for that is HMOs needs to be given in adequate quantity, not too much, not too less. And easiest HMO available is in your mother's milk that you give for your baby. So that simple answer is no. You cannot only give HMOs because HMOs do not contain calories. HMOs are not absorbed. Almost 98% is not absorbed. They are not digested. They just remain there and they are excreted as it is. But they play a major role in helping the good bacteria because they are fermented. They are like fiber, as I was saying. So the easiest thing that I can tell you is like fiber. You cannot survive only on fiber because it is good.
Right. Yes, correct, sir. Thank you for that insight. It's just like relating to fiber. So only HMO is not definitely beneficial here. So Shravan has a question. He says, is there any change of quantity of HMO when you fortify the breast milk with bovine fortifiers? And how is it with human milk-based fortifiers?
Human milk fortifiers are better because, as you know, the bovine milk doesn't contain HMOs, as in the simple answer for that. It is produced in the human milk. It is available by synthetic means, but that will be slightly substandard to the naturally available HMOs. Now, fortification with bovine milk fortifiers will, of course, improve the nutritional quality in other things like proteins and probably some extra calories, but it doesn't have any role on the HMOs. So that's the easiest answer.
So I hope sir has answered your question, Shravan. So thank you for the question. So another just understanding the HMOs.
Sorry?
Sorry. Yeah, no problem. So now, HMOs, is it like, how does the maternal diet impact the HMOs? Is there a change in its composition or quantity or quality?
It's a good question. Sorry, 1 second. I'm just.
Yes, sir. Please take it up. Yeah.
Very rare. Thank you. So yes, it's a very good question because it's something that many mothers will ask us when we say, sir, it's not just related to HMOs, even other things also. Whatever I eat, will the baby get it? The answer is yes. You're basically acting like a conduit for what you eat, baby will get. So maternal diet does affect the composition of HMOs. It is associated with the composition and also diversity. As I said, there are different HMOs. It depends on the secretor status, dependent status, that kind of stuff. So the relationship between the maternal diet and the HMOs, including other bioactive components, including HMOs, it needs a lot of further research. It's not direct correlation. Okay. But of course, the simple answer is it probably has a role. Okay. But I can tell you, I know that this is still a research that is ongoing. I can tell you that the nature wants everything to be given to the baby, even at the expense of mother's health. What I mean is, even if the mother is deficient in particular substance, the breast milk will try to conserve its composition as much as possible. Of course, there's a caveat to that. So, yeah.
So what we understand is maternal diet is also important in making sure baby gets the appropriate HMOs.
And
So
other thing
yes,
is, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Other important thing is, this is a study which was conducted in I think the Finland, those countries, Finland, Norway, and so where you come from determines the amount of HMOs you make. That means genetically you are programmed to produce. It depends on your genetic maternal genetic composition. So some races make, like apparently the Africans and Indians, we make significantly higher HMOs compared to the Caucasian population. That's what they're saying. Of course, it's not a very what you call very robust research, but it is still ongoing. Certainly, genetics plays a role in the amount of HMOs you produce as a mother.
That's interesting. So even I was not aware that, even with the different race, there were changes in HMO. That's good to know, sir. And
Mm.
also, like, we have like few minutes, like 3 minutes left. So before we conclude, what would be your key message related to HMOs, especially in the preterm babies?
See, I mean, I'll give two messages. First thing is the HMO. Second thing is breastfeeding in general, breast milk in general. See, when I was qualifying as a pediatrician, we didn't know that much about the HMOs. Now, in the last 15 years, last 10, 15 years, there's been significant research. And as we speak, there will be some companies, some lab which will be doing more research on breast milk. The simple thing is you start your life with breast milk, okay, and try to give the best milk possible for your baby, which is breast milk. And among them, the most important substance apart from the calorie things is the HMO, because these not just play a direct role in improving your cognition, immunity, and other things, but they also play an indirect role in development of your brain. So the gut-brain axis is real. Gut-brain axis is needed, and lots of research has been carried on and still ongoing. You are what you eat, and you give the best start to your child by breastfeeding exclusively, at least for 6 months, and making sure that you're aware of these substances in case there's for some reason you can't breastfeed. Availability of particularly in preterm babies, availability of human milk which is pasteurized, and also the supplement and the fortifier, human milk fortifier, HMF. Again, that is important to know about. Okay.
Yes, sir. So before we close, we just have one last question from Vidyasagar. This is interesting. He says, what is your take on using HMO enriched milk for cow milk allergy? Infants with cow milk allergy. How does it beneficial?
That's a very interesting question. I think I need to really think and tell you, because for cow's milk intolerance is a protein intolerance. Okay, so it is called cow's milk protein intolerance. Previously, now we call it as cow's milk allergy. See, these are HMOs are produced in human milk, present only in human milk. Now, with respect to enriching your formula with HMO, that's what I think it is. And the answer is
Yes, sir. Yeah, yeah.
of course, HMOs play an important role in gut health, even in cow's milk protein allergy patients, because it's an allergy, and we know that allergy is due to dysbiosis of your gut, and HMOs play an important role in symbiosis of your gut. So the easiest answer is yes. If you are going to use any formula, use the ones which contain adequate quantity of HMOs. And the easy answer for the second question is, it lies in the first answer. It is, you cannot give too much of HMOs also.
Yeah.
Okay, it can cause other things like osmotic diarrhea and stuff like that, because it is like fiber. It's not soluble. Yeah, it's not soluble. So the right quantity is the key.
So I think the right quantity is like breastfeed that is already available. The
Yeah,
appropriate quantity is available.
sure. I think I believe in something called, I don't know what you want to call it, but just stick to the basics. I like simple things, and simple things are beautiful. Breastfeeding is simple, and breastfeeding is adequate, and breastfeeding, you don't need to calculate, read, write down how much you give. Just feed the baby.
Yes, sir. I'm sure, like, this is also very important in this era, like working mothers. they don't tend to breastfeed the baby on time. So it's very important to make sure the baby gets all the benefits of the breast milk.
Right.
And it was such a great session with you, sir. In fact, I learned a lot understanding about the HMOs in a very simplified way. I'm sure even the audience who are watching it understood a lot, and we had good questions from them. And thank you so much for your valuable time and your busy schedule. And you're great. Thank you so much, sir. Have a great day ahead.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. So, bye everyone. Have a great day ahead. Thank you so much.
Okay.